All right, here we go.
She's pre-dropping.
Welcome and thank you for... Damn it, Michael.
You're pre-dropping the mic here.
We're never going to get through this episode. You're in for a good one. Thank you, guests, for joining us on Inside CNA Digital, the podcast. Whether you're joining us on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Music, I can guarantee you're in for a treat today. So as you know, our podcast likes to center on a couple of different themes, marketing being probably the number one. But I really have the benefit and pleasure and honor of having very cool friends. And my guest today, Michael Murphy, is definitely one of those people. He is the Director of Business Development for Murphy Brothers Contracting, don't want to get that wrong, and the President of the Building and Realty Institute, BRI, of Hudson Valley. He's a friend, he's a colleague, and Michael, I am so happy to have you here today.
Well, cross this one off my bucket list. I've fantasized about being on this show, and now here I am.
Well, listen, we're happy to have you. And we had a little bit of fun in the pre-show, kind of talking about some of the synergies that our work kind of has and some of the ways we cross paths in the networking world. I think I met you when you were receiving, was it the Golden Shovel Award? I think it was.
Take me back to 2023.
Yes.
Yes. Westchester Magazine gave me their first Golden Shovel Award.
Yes.
And I was absolutely shocked.
I wasn't. And I didn't even know you. But I got to know you that day. And I think I was talking to Anna, our mutual friend from the magazine, about YU. And interestingly, she goes, "Oh, you don't know him. That's surprising. He knows everyone." Right? And that's my intro to you. And I said, "No, tell me about him."
Well, you know what gets me? I got to bring it back to the Golden Shovel thing, because every time they've gone, I think they've had 4 or 5 different Golden Shovel Awards, and every time I see them give that award to someone else, I said, why'd they give the first one to me? Just because, I mean, for no other reason than it was just, I'm just another guy doing my job here in Westchester County.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And what is my job?
What is your job? We're going to get there.
Right, it's a good question.
Because I want to know.
I often wonder myself. Right.
What I heard that day actually was, about one of your superpowers, which happens to be being a master connector. So you're always looking, and now listen, you're in business development. So
that could be my only superpower too. So
I don't know.
Okay.
But it was interesting to hear her perspective, and I respect her very much. And then I met you, and I can say I'm so happy for our guest today to kind of learn from you and to hear your insights in terms of what you do. So let's start there. Why don't you tell our audience kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis before we get into some of the cool, spicy, innovative stuff.
Okay, so the camera's over there. I'm just going to say hi to the audience, and I hope you get at least one thing out of this. And by the end of this show, we'll figure out what that one thing is, right?
Yeah.
So I've been with Murphy Brothers Contracting for 18 years. And as I told you in the pre-show, my last name is Murphy, not Murphy Brothers. I'm not related to the brothers that started the business 47 years ago, and they're still working in the business today. And they've built an amazing family-owned business for the last almost their 5th decade. So we work in Westchester and Southern Fairfield and the lower Hudson Valley, building beautifully designed single-family homes, renovating beautiful single-family homes.
On the higher end, I hear.
On the higher end, yes.
Right.
So on the very high end, the highest end. So we, that's what we've built the business to be.
That's very cool.
Yeah. That's not the only thing.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned to you earlier, it says we throw our tools into 3 different buckets. One of those buckets is that high-end residential contracting stuff that people love to see.
Yeah.
The second thing is the private club worlds, and we're blessed with the golf club, shore club, beach club, yacht clubs all throughout Westchester and Southern Fairfield into the Hudson Valley. And the third thing is just about everything else. So if you've got a project out there and you want it done right, on time and under budget, give me a call. I can
It's
get
his commercial.
Yes.
It's his commercial.
I'll be doing this over and over again. And you out there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the guy to call. 914-424-3422.
Really
Give me your number.
See,
yeah, I'll do it over and over again.
They didn't pay for this, by the way. Maybe I should charge them.
But let's talk about me.
Let's talk a little bit more about me.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go.
Anyway, so Murphy Brothers it's a great organization. So if you look on our website, the website is murphybrothers.com. And I've had a number of people look at our website, and Elena, they always say to me, I looked at your website, you guys do great work. And I always say to them, you've looked at my website and we take good pictures.
Yeah.
He says, if you want to see if we do good work, what I want to do is show you our work in progress, because there's nothing like seeing a job in construction.
Yeah, sure.
In the works, when it's being done, to meet our project managers, to see our team members and how they put that thing together. They are totally the best.
Yeah. So I love your plug. You're in business development, so you did your job, check. Now I want to talk to you a little bit more about kind of some of the ways that, other than, doing the nice commercial and the plug, and I see you at a lot of networking events, always kind of pressing the flesh, as we used to say. Tell me the other ways that you get people to know, because I will say that the contracting business, certainly in Westchester, but it's getting more and more competitive, certainly in the high-end circles. There's a lot of building in this area, both on the residential and the commercial side. So tell me a little bit about some of the ways outside of more traditional marketing that you approach your business. What's different about kind of the way you do it?
I wish I could say that 100% of our business came from word of mouth. And I could say that a fair good percentage of our work comes from word of mouth, but usually we have to go out and find projects in other ways. So sometimes I act frantically in my ways of trying to find new business, where I'll pepper my schedule with to be at events like the Business Council of Westchester, or the Building and Realty Institute events, or some other type of event like that, to try to just get out there and represent Murphy Brothers and meet people. But more often than not, what I'm doing is I'm inventing my own events. So I try to put things together that work, that I know that'll work for me, that'll bring people into the room.
And add value to your prospects.
Absolutely, because right. I mean, that's all the draw for getting them in the room.
Sure.
So whether it's continuing education presentations for architects, interior designers, the design community, or it's trying to bring people together that are in the real estate transaction development world, or it might be something obscure, like reaching out to the New York or the Self-Storage Association members to try to connect with them on some way, because we're members of that organization as well. But I do my own events more often than not. Keep really busy.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I think is exceptionally cool about you, just personally, is that you're always trying to ideate with me about new ways to show the industry how to market better and how to embrace more innovative digital techniques. That's what you and I talk about when we're not on camera. Okay,
so that's really an interesting point, because people say to me, I'm fascinated by marketing because it's part of business development. I think business development is just a bunch of yappers. People like to talk, and as you say, press the flesh.
Right.
People that collect business cards and follow up, right? If you can't follow up, you can't be a business development person, because that's number one. You got to be able to follow up. Mm-hmm. Just do what you say you're going to do, right?
Yes.
Do it. People remember you. But the thing about marketing is that there's people ask me, like, what are the three things, or I say, can you name three things that are going to be changing your industry, mm-hmm. my industry, which is construction, or buildings, whatever that might be. Number one is going to be climate change, because the way things are happening in the world, we have to build things that are more energy efficient. We have to use clean energy. That'd be number one. It's going to change the building codes. Number two is automated construction, so that you're going to see in the future more buildings are built somewhere else and then kind of assembled on site. So that whole
not like a modular style. Do you mean like robots?
Actually, I
modular?
do mean like a modular style, or could be in one case, and those modulars might be built robotically, because it's so easy to take the design, take your concept, design it, and send it to a factory. You have this factory build it in a climate controlled factory space, and then bring it out onto the job site and just assemble the pieces. So more often in that case right there, so you're going to make your money in construction from the shoulders up rather than the shoulders down. You have to be able to use your head.
Sure.
But the third thing that gets me is AI. And now the other day I was watching that video that everybody saw about Tom Cruise beating up on Brad Pitt or vice versa. And I thought, and I remember one of the somebody in the industry, people in the industry were freaked out because this is going to change their industry, the movie industry. Well, AI is going to change my industry. And yet
every industry.
I know it's out there. It's kind of like, remember as a fan of the Game of Thrones, I think AI winter is coming, and it's coming towards us no matter how we, as contractors and people in the building industry, as we compete together head to head, and we're suspicious of one another. We should actually put our heads together and figure out how we're going to survive AI, because AI is going to change our industry, just like it's changing everything else, no doubt about it. So, as you're someone that I really appreciate this area here, because I know that you embrace it 100%, and you understand how it's changing your industry. And every time you get a client on the marketing side, you think, hey, I better help you understand how it's going to change your industry.
Correct.
Because if it's like everything else is the yellow pages. Everything. So if you want to put your ad in anything, or your marketing, whatever, it's just the yellow page. Everything, you've got to get into what's happening. What's happening. So absolutely. There you go.
Yeah,
so
and I think
tell me, I'm going to ask you to turn the tables on this. So for the construction industry that I'm in, how is AI going to change me?
Well, I think, there's probably technology, as you mentioned, in terms of the actual building and what you produce in terms of deliverable. But I think there's an opportunity here. I would argue that we shouldn't look at AI as winter is coming, because here's the deal. Then that means we're all going to die. And it is coming, by the way, but maybe it's not winter. Maybe it's winter for people who don't adopt. And maybe it's winter for people who don't embrace. And maybe it's winter for people who are scared. And then they will become dinosaurs and die like they did. But I don't want to be in that crew. I think, I like to use the analogy, Michael, that when social media came out for business, I was not an early adopter. Surprise, surprise. I'm just going to give you that confession. I thought social media was social and it should stay social, and I did not see it becoming a tool for business. I'm just going to be honest with you. I was a little late to the game. I'd say a year or two late per my view. And I learned my lesson. It's like, how about embrace it and be an early adopter? Because at a minimum, if it's a trend, it'll fade, but you know about it. And so when AI started to we started to really hear about it, I'd say close to 4 or 5 years ago, we actually started a unit called Copy and Art AI. And we had teams of people evaluating and creating reports around how it was going to affect marketing. And I think that every company today should be thinking about the company, and they teach you this in business mastery, right? Like the business you're in today, and then the business you should be running or you will be running in the future. So I think for construction companies that traditionally don't market, rely heavily on relationships, I think the next gen of biz dev and marketing people should use AI to really differentiate themselves. It's so easy for construction and contracting companies because nobody is doing it well. So you can stand out so easily by making a moderate investment. And there are like guidelines for 5 to 8% of your revenue should be turned back around into marketing if you want to know how much you should be spending. So if you're a small company, maybe that's a college intern with some technology. If you're a real firm and you're making tens of millions of dollars, then you should be investing in marketing, period, end of story. And then that helps a biz dev team that might be, I don't know, how big is your biz dev team? Is it you? Is it you
Ladies
plus?
And gentlemen,
okay.
I am the business development team for Murphy Brothers Contracting, right?
You don't need more if you have.
You got me right there.
That's it. But see, so if you're
I'm a unicorn, not a dinosaur.
I agree. If you're looking for growth, then you can be in one place at one time. What we do around thought leadership can be in many places at once. So anyway, that's how I think contracting, consulting, and construction companies should be thinking about AI is how do you use it to efficiently market?
Yeah, because this is what I think about. You see, because if for no other reason, our clients, the people that we work with, they're all sophisticated. These are sophisticated jobs. The type of projects that we do have, it's not just the contractor involved, but the architect is always involved. The interior designer is involved, the landscape architect, the structural engineer, the mechanical engineer. There's all these different layers of specialists that are in the field. And sometimes you have acoustical engineers, and sometimes you have these audio people. So you'll have like a cadre of these very knowledgeable people that are working for this one client. We're part of their team, right? So, and we all know they're on AI. So if we can't speak their language, we are fading ourselves into the distance and we won't even know it. So I want to know it.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who is an interior design firm in Canada who does some of the highest end real estate, both in Canada and here. And she was mentioning to me on a mastermind we had last night about how her firm has embraced AI to supplement some of their design techniques, but also how much easier it is for her to work on very high-end builds with other kind of contractors that are also leveraging it because they can kind of more efficiently speak the same language, which benefits the client. It also makes the jobs more efficient. So you're not going round and round. So if you can complete more jobs in a shorter period of time, obviously everybody wins. So I think that's like a benefit to embracing the technology. Why are you smiling?
There's the other side of that too.
Yeah.
So I remember years ago when I had my first flip phone. Remember those Nokia flip phones, right? They're kind of cool. They're like walkie-talkie type things. And I had one. I got a call.
Like a Nextel? Like
yeah,
the one
Nextel.
that you
So and I had a call came in while I was discussing this job with this elderly woman that was a client. Right. This is when I had my own business before Murphy Brothers. There was another life there. Anyways. The lady said, oh, wow, that's amazing. Does that help you be more efficient in your business? I said, no, ma'am. It just helps us do more business in the same inefficient way we've always done it. So having all the technology does not mean you're going to be efficient. So it does not mean you're going to give quality. These are just ways to get in the room.
Sure.
So and when you're in the room, and if you're fortunate enough or blessed to get to the next level, you'll be able to do your job easier. But then again, you have to be the same thoughtful person when you're going through it. You have to learn to be efficient. You have to learn to be, these are the things your parents taught you, which I think these are things which can set you apart in marketing. This is like in the business development stuff, even though you're out there, using AI and other forms of social media and marketing, whatever like this, you still got to be able to meet people, look them in the eye and talk to them.
Absolutely.
So, and if you can't do that, you can learn that.
Do you feel like, just from an opinion standpoint, your opinion, do you feel like some of the more innovative firms are going to have an advantage, though, for embracing technology versus not embracing? Do you feel like maybe not immediately, but do you feel like that, what my friend mentioned as kind of what she's seeing in these very high-end builds, like she's finding that some of these firms are being forced to kind of adopt just to play in the game?
Yes, it'll get you in the room.
Yeah.
But then again, when you're in the room, are you going to be able to stay in the room?
Sure.
At that point there, it takes more than just
technology or anything.
So it's going to take you. I'm sure you understand this as the head of your business, that a lot of times there are times where you have to be there. You have to be in the meeting. You have to pick up the call. And the same thing with our business here. When I tell the Murphy Brothers, when they need to be in the room, they need to be in the room, because that's going to make a difference. So people like that. They need trust factor. So, and trust is something that comes in so many different ways, right?
But it doesn't come in AI. Actually, interestingly, so I have a marketing newsletter called Marketing Playground, and my last issue was actually just around this, because in some ways, Michael, AI is a great level setter for everybody, because the tech is going to be the tech, and then the difference is going to be the relationship. So I would argue that your personal brand, who you are, how you connect with your clients or prospects, is actually going to become more important, because you could probably prompt one thing or use technology just like the guy next to you, but it's going to be the relationship that's different. You'll get very similar answers. So it actually is a level setter, right? Where everybody's going to have equal access to the same information and the same technology. So then what's the difference? It becomes Michael versus Joe Schmo, who doesn't answer the phone or whatever, is sleazy or whatever. So that's my position.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm behind you.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about a favorite project that you've worked on with Murphy Brothers.
It's the last one.
Talk to me about it.
Yes. Well, no, it's always the last one. That's favorite project. Done.
Done.
Right. That's just like they say in the construction world. They say there's the 2 good days are the day you start and the day you finish, and another good day in between. So, but actually, my favorite projects were always the ones that won awards. So we've won awards for Wingfoot Country Club, Larchmont Yacht Club, Ardsley Country Club. We just won an award, Builders Award, for a beautiful. It was a 16,000 square foot renovation in the backcountry of Greenwich.
Wow.
And at the same time won 2 awards for the 16,000 square foot renovation in the backcountry of Greenwich. And also it was the restoration of a house that was built in 1756 on the property for the Audubon Society in Greenwich.
Oh.
A restoration. It was like, holy cow.
Wow.
Too cool. And at the same time, we were involved in, that was actually the thing with the Audubon house was, I forgot it's called this, Zebediah Mead House. There was 2 other projects we had at the same time, and all 3 were ribbon cuttings, all within the same month. It was that project. It was was the Ark of Westchester's new Ann Manzi Center. We renovated that in Mount Kisco. And the third one was the sanctuary for the Unitarian Church in Hartsdale. So all 3 were these smaller projects than what we're normally used to doing, but they were all ribbon cutting projects where the people were so happy for the project to be completed, happy to be finished, that they invited a bunch of people to come in there and celebrate with them. So I love those projects.
I love it.
I love anything that makes the team look good, because at the end of the day, it's the team. Every time we win, my phrases for successful projects are always the result of teamwork. Nobody says, "Oh, that makes sense, right?" Well, of course it would be, right? But no, it is. This is the result of teamwork. Where there's sometimes in those projects you never know what goes behind them. You know, there's always no one wants to know how the sausage was made. They just want to eat the sausage. So to get to those ends there, when we're at those particular award ceremonies, whatever, we're presented with that award, we think, man, this was great. We love to have the whole team with us, everybody, the architect, interior designer, the worker, whatever. So love it.
What would you say is the most substantial way that might be relevant to our audience that Murphy Brothers Contracting has evolved during your 18 years with them?
I'll tell you how we've evolved, maybe if you go a little bit further there. When I started with them, and I don't really know if I've had anything to do with this, but when I started with them, we had in-house, we had a group of painters, we had a group of excavators, we had a group of cabinet makers, and now we have management teams, right? So what we come to realize is that there's the 2 most important things, 2 of the most important things in a project are the timeline and the budget. Mm-hmm. And that you have to manage on sophisticated projects like the projects that we do and many other contractors like us do. They have to manage that timeline and manage the budget. That's most important. So we manage projects, and we have site supervisors help manage the project to try to make it through the timeline. So they're communicators. So that's, I think, is a big change. So when we had maybe twice as many people or more that worked for Murphy Brothers 18 years ago when I started there, we have less than that. We don't need them.
Got it. Because you're managing the projects differently.
Sure. It's interesting because how it goes with when on a smaller project, that contractor might actually be doing the carpentry, the painting, hanging the sheetrock, doing the insulation. And that's why it kind of takes a little bit of time, and he's over here doing this and over here doing that. But on a larger project, you bring in a guy that actually does all the insulation. That's all he does. And he's a specialist in that. Or he does the sheetrock. One guy hangs the sheetrock, the other guy tapes it. They're specialists in these. It's fascinating. Yep. Tile guys are just guys that all they do is tile. It's amazing. Love it. Well, you grew up in the business, so
yes,
you know how it is. What did your dad do?
So he was a real estate entrepreneur. He was independent, so he would buy properties, renovate them, and then rent them. So he was the anti-flipper. It's like literally
he held it. Oh,
everything was hold.
I'd love to meet your dad.
He is not.
No. God bless him.
Missed the boat.
Yes.
But he was like, when it came to like flipping and that became a thing,
right.
He was like, oh, don't ever sell the,
Yeah, keep the real estate.
So
nice.
He actually, his philosophy was a little bit different. Than he took the profit from this little property, you save, bought another property, and he was buying up New York City properties when, the purple properties when you play Monopoly.
Yeah.
He liked those properties.
I love it. Okay.
Right. He would buy them for no money and then, of course, hold on. And guess what happens when you hold on to New York City real estate?
It goes up. So if your dad was here today, I'd say to your father, says, Mr. Rivera,
yes,
you must join the BRI. You must join the Building and Realty Institute of the Hudson Valley. we'd love to have you in our group.
Oh my God,
So,
he would love it.
Sure.
He would want to have a beer with you. That is for sure.
That's for sure. If I drank beer.
And if you drank beer, which you don't, I know. We drink other things, but not beer. Now, so tell me, because you are a newly minted president of the BRI of the Hudson Valley, tell me a little bit about your goals, your vision, what you're hoping to accomplish there.
Less meetings. That's a joke.
Stop it.
Seriously.
We'll edit that out.
We do have a lot. No, you could give Tim Foley, if you're listening, he's the executive director. No, we do.
I know Tim.
We do have a lot of meetings, but the thing is that what I'm looking forward to is to grow the organization, but not just grow like more builders and more apartment owners. I want diversified. Like we started the Hudson Valley Women in Construction, which is a great group that and I believe you were a speaker at one of their events there. And this group is to grow that group, to bring in a specialized need that they have in dealing in the construction industry with women in the business. And also we're have an outreach program going with the Westchester Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I'm looking forward to that growing even more, so that we're doing a Westchester Portuguese Chamber of Commerce, and we're starting to bring these groups that are in some way fragmented. They don't feel like they're part of the big picture here.
Sure.
To bring them in there, stop. Not the idea. I know that they're all building a house back home, or wherever that might be, but we want them to stay here and be a part of this. We want them to build legacy businesses in Westchester County. We need help developing Westchester County. And remember, I spoke to you earlier about Deal Makers, the lunch that I do with John Barrett, my good friend from RM Freeland.
Yeah, tell the audience a little bit about it. Okay,
Deal Makers is designed to attract people in the resident and the real estate development and transaction world. And how it all started out was that John and I were talking to a young developer about 4 years ago, and the conversation got pretty heated. He says because of the regulations and the rules in Westchester County to try to get anything approved, right? So the guy got up and he said, exclamation point, curse word, I'm going to go down south. I'm going to go down south and build in South Carolina because it's easier.
Right.
And I looked at John as he left, and I said, if we don't do something to try to keep these younger developers in Westchester County, we're going to lose, because they're all going to go down there. So we look at it as if we represent those younger developers, the ones from outside the community, the disenfranchised ones, whatever that might mean, any minority developers to come in here. All we want to do is show them that we can level the playing field together, and open doors for them, so that they can take the properties that maybe the Louis Capelli and Joe Simone and RXR aren't looking taking, at, right? It's the B and the C and the D properties, the properties that your father would love to start investing in right now.
Yes.
To try to bring them in here and keep developing this area, repurpose, build, whatever they have to do, to keep the thing going, because we got a great thing going here in Westchester County and beyond, as we know.
Yes, agree.
So, Westchester County is the perfect springboard for Southern Fairfield and
Rockland. Also
the Lower Hudson Valley, which of course the BRI, we represent that area as well.
Of course,
it's not the Building and Realty Institute of Westchester County. It's
right, Hudson Valley.
It's the Hudson Valley.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I'm partial to Westchester, and I think my favorite part about what you're trying to do there is really connecting people. And I've done some work. Yes, Women in Construction invited me to speak about kind of personal brand and goal setting, which was really, really fascinating and interesting. We had a great time. But also with the Hispanic Chamber, when we were kind of speaking to Latin-owned Hispanic businesses in the construction industry, and how they can appropriately market themselves so that they can better connect here.
Those are tips to the iceberg. I mean, there's
yes.
so many opportunities out there to, for them to grow their businesses and by in connection to help their families and their communities, and the same thing for the BRI. It's going to be great for the BRI.
Agreed.
Yes.
And we've had a great time. I have two more questions for you.
Well, we have one more organization we started, and that was the young people in construction, which is they say under 45. I always think of them as under 40, and these are the leaders of tomorrow that we're looking to develop in the BRI. They might be leaders in a business that they're taking over, or just leaders in a business that they're elevated to because of the skills that they're learning within the BRI. So all good.
I like it.
Yes.
Yeah. So 2026 is here. What are your goals? Personal, professional?
To get to the end of 2026. How's that sound?
No, tell me something more.
Actually, more business, meet new people, nothing really specific. As I did mention to you, I did have a rock and roll band, as you know, right? So we'd like to play more live gigs in 2026.
What's the name? Tell.
No Guardrails. And I'll send you the invite to the next gig we're doing. I'm not sure when this is coming out, but
I would love it.
Yes. Anyway, so but really, I'd like to be able to, as I had mentioned earlier, says I'm really concerned about AI, and I'd like to be that Murphy Brothers is on the forefront of AI. The other thing too is that Murphy Brothers is really concerned with clean energy, and that, we're members of the Business Council of Westchester, and myself, Ron Kamen, who I know you know, and Dan Singer from Robeson Oil. We got together with the Business Council, and what now has come out from that is the Clean Energy Action Coalition. We have our annual conference coming up in April, and we see no matter what Washington says or what the political climate is out there, clean energy is the future. I mean, here we live in Westchester County, and we were getting an abundance of energy. Electricity was produced by Energy Point. They took Energy Point off the market. It does not produce energy anymore. So and every day is another day that we're using. Probably every minute we're using more energy. So we have to figure this thing out together. Sure. So, and we'd love to do it with the developers in Westchester County, with the municipality, the elected leaders, schools, or whatever, come together and figure out how we're going to work out this clean energy thing. So. Yeah,
and I've talked to Ron about that. I'm in full support. Yeah.
Big sustainability person.
Yes, absolutely. Right. What didn't I ask that I should have?
Where are we going after this?
Well, we know where we're going after this. But,
good. Okay, great. What else did you have asked? So you didn't ask me how I got into the construction business.
I'd love to hear that. Oh, you know what? I have another question. So answer that. And then the last one will be advice you have for the next gen that comes behind you doing what you do.
We're going to put them together, because how I got in the construction business was failure. So if it wasn't for failure, I wouldn't be here today. So originally I wanted to be a minister, and I was going along thinking I was going to do that. Kind of weird, right? You wouldn't think me being a minister, maybe. Anyways, so, and things didn't work out, and I needed a job, and I got a job in construction. And that's how I ended up where I am today. So I'd say to you out there, you next gen, this is kind of a hard thing to do, but I'd say make failure your friend. Learn from your mistakes. Embrace it, because it's going to happen anyways. So get ready for it and use it for your advantage.
I think you found a way to be a minister too.
Amen, bro.
Amen. Right. And I thank you so much for joining me today. This was so much fun. I thank you for joining us. I hope you got many of the insights that Michael was sharing today. Thanks for joining, like and share, and we'll see you next time on Inside CNA Digital, the podcast.